Alright everyone, for those that might not be aware, the reason why I'm wearing the Vietnam vintage is we're in an ideological war right now, and no better symbol of that than the Tommy Robinson case. Also, I get called a hippie finally again by people on the right because they're like, oh my abortion, we must suppress left-wing rhetoric. We need to go flag people or whatever. I'm not participating. So, and I'm not religious, so that makes me a hippie. Obviously, I don't care if you smoke weed, in other words, or if you're a homosexual. I don't give a fuck. But the arrest of Tommy Robinson, it's like people are saying, oh, it's a return to like the Tower of London sort of mentality, the bad old days of Britain. Essentially when the government was abusing large numbers of people. But it's been doing that anyway. This is just a symptom of a larger disease. The disease is authoritarianism. The UK has a very bad case of authoritarian disease right now. You have a government that doesn't represent you and won't protect you, or let you protect yourselves, that calls you a bigot if you expect to get ahead. It's like basically deal with the situation. We're managing the decline. You're gonna come home with dirt under your fingernails to your licensed TV that you pay a tax on, and you're going to watch propaganda, and we're going to monitor what you say and do online, and we're going to arrest you if you have wrongthink. You're not going to know the truth because the truth might shatter, basically the Shakespearean worldview that we're presenting to you, the propagandized, sanitized worldview that I think some people in the UK have is totally wrong. It's essentially a leaf out of the book of North Korea at this point. It looks very similar. You're not allowed to have certain opinions, believe certain things, or be exposed to certain truths because the government has deemed them to be offensive. Now, it's not that they're actually offensive. What it really is they're inconvenient for the government maintaining control and order. But they're going to label it bigoted or offensive. It's like Tommy Robinson, founder of the EDL, does his journalism thing. He's been arrested before. Now, he's gotten in fights before. Mostly, it appears that they were provoked by other individuals who have a stick up their ass about his views. And he's probably being put in prison so that he can be killed while he's there. There are people saying that. I can believe it. I wouldn't put it past the draconian, totalitarian bullshitters that you call the UK's government and inbred royal family to sentence someone to death. That we don't have the death penalty anymore. We'll just toss you into a cell with the 500-pound former Islamic cleric. I'm sure that he'll survive the night. It's basically what it boils down to. Either that or they're just getting him into a prison so that he can't speak. Like, okay, take a 13-month sabbatical, I guess, from telling people the truth that we have determined they shouldn't hear. What apparently happened, there's a closed-off trial being held, I guess, in secret or something about a rape gang there in I think, Leeds. And he was out there reporting on it, and the police came after about an hour. Now, he wasn't even, I guess, saying anything at the time, and they dragged him off saying, "You're breaching the peace, sir. You're not allowed to record this trial." I guess in the UK, strange as though it may sound, it is considered an incitement to violence by simply revealing the location of a trial if some unelected magistrate decides, at the behest of Her Royal Majesty, I have found you guilty for breaching the peace. I don't even think, does he even get a jury trial? Do they even have juries over there, or is it still like magistrates or some stupid shit like that? I think that it is. I don't even think that he got a trial by jury, and it took a very short period of time to sentence him to 13 months in prison. How very lovely. So he'll probably be dead soon, and that's probably the point. And even if he's not able to speak. But there's no free speech in the UK. There's no free speech anywhere in Europe. It's true, Eastern Europe is marching on towards totalitarianism too. It's just their totalitarianism is trying to suppress like the globalist side of totalitarians, but it's just nationalized totalitarianism. Western Europe, meanwhile, if you want to know what the United States will be like after another 50 years if we keep electing stupid idiots like Clinton, globalists, imperialists, people who will call you a bigot because you oppose some stupid policy they have that has nothing to do with it, then just look at the UK. You'll be disarmed, overtaxed, and miserable. And the government will do what it kind of does already here and say, this is what Obama does with his new norm bullshit. You don't have the right to get ahead. You should be happy. You should be thankful for the way that you have it. We're managing the decline. That's basically what it boils down to. Essentially, if someone in the UK wants to get ahead, they're not going to be able to do it usually. Not unless you play really, really nice. Not unless you're willing to take part in their 1984 dystopian hellhole. There was a time maybe 10 years ago when I would have said, well, England is one place on the short list of places I want to see before I die because my family lineage comes predominantly from England, the Warwick family. Not going to happen. I probably wouldn't be able to enter the country. Here's the funny thing. somebody who has literally killed people can enter the country, but somebody who has the wrong opinion can't. And they can't enter the country in a technological sense easily either. People get blocked all the time by UK. They're like, oh, this channel is inappropriate for people in the UK. We're just going to ban all of its content. I think I'm still available within the United Kingdom, but I'm, the French and the Germans have already blocked my channel. You can't subscribe to me or see my channel from there most of the time. Sometimes, oddly enough, that goes away and it sputters for a few days and it's very strange. I don't understand it. It's weird. I don't know how these laws work. The UK is a hellhole. The UK's government is stupid. The UK's police are as disarmed as the rest of the citizenry. Here's the funny part. I guess they were worried about maybe someone sees the stream and comes to do violence at the trial venue. How are they going to do that? There's no weapons. What are they going to use? A 2x4? A rock? That's basically the best weapon you can obtain in the UK most of the time. Oddly enough, though, criminals still shoot people over there. There are more shootings now in London, Stan, than there are in New York City. Which is strange because, of course, you're not really allowed to own guns over in the UK. The government has to stick a probe up your ass to make sure your fart levels are okay in order to do that. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen England 10 years ago. I wish that I had, because I'm never going to get the opportunity now, not unless there's like a revolution there or something. Not unless they have their own version of the French Revolution and start using guillotines. Unless that happens, I probably am not allowed to enter the country. And I'm not willing to take the risk. Look, I wouldn't want to be detained at the border. In the airport. Like, if you fly into the airport and immediately get accosted by several dudes with billy clubs saying, oh, you're not allowed in the UK because, your opinions are bad. They treat you, basically, they keep you out on this, they have some sort of schema where people who encourage terrorism, which I guess is a very loose definition because they applied it to Lauren Southern, aren't allowed in the country. Like, apparently anyone who's part of her movement there can't enter. And it's just really dystopian and weird. And it's like, oh, you can belong to a group that encourages religious, zealotry, that encourages killing homosexuals or something. It's very progressive of us to allow you in, but not if you believe in borders, oddly enough. And the funny thing is, and I've noticed this, it's not so much extremism as the label of extremism, which is often defamatory. That's really becoming the issue. It's like if one corporate media outlet doesn't like you, and independent commentators get this all the time, they just label you like, oh, well, because of this view, this person's an extremist. They're a terrorist lover. They sympathize with Nazis or something. They're too far out there. They're conspiracy theorists. And then countries will actually take that claim seriously. It gets echoed, I don't know, I think, wasn't it that the ADL or the SPLC or something called Andy Worski like a hate monger at one point? And it was all very funny, and I think he called them as a joke and to discuss the issue live on air, and it was all very funny. No, Tommy Robinson being arrested is just a symptom of a larger problem. The UK is a dystopian nightmare, and it affects me this way because of cutlery. There was a story where a kid tried to buy like a pack of spoons and he wasn't allowed to do so. Well, I've got fans in the UK. Some of them probably aren't, whatever the age of majority is there, 18, 20, whatever the hell it is. I don't think there are mature adults in the UK at this point because you're not allowed to be citizens, you're slaves. You're not allowed to be a fully functioning adult. You're not only allowed to do things that the government, the nanny state tells you can do. He tried to buy some spoons, but because he wasn't 18, he wasn't allowed to. And here was the surreal part. Here's the funny part. I know it's very sad, very dystopian, it's sadistic on behalf of their government, but it's also funny for one thing. He came out and gave a statement on this and said something to the effect of, I can understand keeping people from buying knives and forks unless they're 18, but spoons is going a step too far. And it's like, it really reminds me of the gun control debate here. It's like, we can understand, wanting to prevent everyone from owning guns, but, trying to ban the musket is going a step too far. And there's an argument that will eventually be made if neoliberalism prevails. This is exactly what we in the United States need to seek to avoid, because it's exactly what will happen to us, and we'll deserve it. We'll deserve that slavery, that servitude to totalitarianism if we sit on our ass and do nothing and don't call it out for what it is. It's not you're a bigot, you're backwards, you're irredeemable. It's called you give a shit about your country, and you give a shit about any possible children or grandchildren you might have wanting to inherit a country where they can get ahead and defend themselves, because governments obviously can't be trusted to do it for us. That's about all. Peace out.